All right, everybody have a seat. State, call your last witness of the day.
Yes, Deandra DaCosta.
Mr. Costa, come on up. You're going to come all the way up to the front here where the deputy is. You're going to watch your step because we do have some plugs. And once you make it around that screen there, you're going to face Mr. Clerk right here and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Terrific. You're going to have a seat right up there. Watch your step. Once you get into that witness stand, if you do me a favor, get that microphone where it's close to your mouth and talk into the center of it. The whole base moves, it flexes, get it comfortable for you. And once you've done all that, would you state your full name for the record and slowly spell it for the jurors, please?
Deandra DaCosta, that is D-A-C-O-S-T-A.
Thank you. Ma'am, where are you employed?
I'm employed by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office as a forensic scientist.
And take us through your educational background, please.
I have a bachelor's degree in forensic science from the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, located in New York. I also have a master's degree in forensic science from the University of Florida.
And how long have you worked at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office?
3 years.
Is that the first forensic job that you've had?
Yes, that is the first forensic job that I had. However, I did an internship with the New York Police Department Crime Lab for 3 months in 2014.
So when you became employed with the Sheriff's Office, what unit were you assigned to?
The forensic biology unit.
And were you hired as a forensic scientist?
Yes.
Tell us about any training programs that the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office put you through when you first became employed with them.
In total, I underwent over 2 years of training. I conducted serological and DNA analysis on hundreds of mock casework samples. And upon completion of my training, I went through a competency testing process, which would include a written, oral, and courtroom testimony examination, which I successfully passed.
You mentioned a few things. Let me ask you, what does the word serology mean?
Serology is the testing and the identification of biological fluids, such as blood and semen.
And then did you have training in the DNA unit as well?
Yes. In my DNA training, I performed DNA analysis on hundreds of mock case samples and did exams upon completion of that.
And what do you mean by mock cases?
These are just essentially pretend casework samples that I will take through the DNA process and as a training process.
So someone knew the answers to the scientific questions that they gave you, and it was your job to test the materials and see if you reached the right answer. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you successfully complete that training program?
Yes, I did.
Right. You're here on this case, which occurred back in 2017. Were you our DNA analyst in this case, or did you help them out with the serology part?
I conducted serological testing.
Now, I'd like to speak with you about some of your work on this case, and it's when you're doing your work as a forensic scientist, did you take detailed notes and have a case file?
Yes, I did.
After you finish your work as a forensic scientist, do you then document your work steps as well as your findings and conclusion in a formal report?
Yes.
And did you do so in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide those reports to the prosecutors and the defense attorneys in this case?
Yes.
Let's talk about your first report, February 28th of 2017. You were assigned the serologist. You were assigned to be the serologist in regards to this triple homicide in Jupiter, correct?
Yes.
Now, do you have your case file with you?
Yes, I do.
Does your case file have very specific detailed notes about your analysis of certain items in this case?
Yes, it does.
If you ever need to refer to it for accuracy purposes, please do so, okay?
Thank you.
Now, just going through your report beginning February 28th of 2017, were you provided with 2 blood standards from an individual named Sean Henry? Or not blood standards, but yes, 2 blood standards from Sean Henry.
Can you state the date of the report you're referring to?
February 28th, 2017. Submission 17.
Submission 17 isn't listed on this report.
Let me make sure. What date is the first date that you have?
The first date I have for issuing a report is reports in the wrong order. Yes, I did receive submission 17 for
Okay.
our two blood standards from Sean Henry.
All right, you have 3 reports, is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's the confusion. Starting with February 28th, 2017. Submission 17, was it 2 blood standards from Sean Henry?
Yes, it was.
And when I say submissions, does the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office have a very detailed procedure where evidence can be turned into the crime laboratory and assigned then to an analyst such as yourself?
Yes.
Do you all have very stringent chain of custody protocols?
Yes, we do.
And is your laboratory certified and go through routine audits?
Our laboratory is accredited, and yes, we do go. Our laboratory is accredited, and yes, we do go through routine audits.
To ensure that the chain of custody and the preservation of evidence is done correctly?
Yes, that among other things.
Any of the items that we're talking about, when you received them, did you receive them through the proper protocol?
Yes, I did.
Right. Now, when I say 2 blood standards from Sean Henry, did you receive those?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with those blood standards of Mr. Henry?
I preserved them and packaged them for further testing.
When we say package for further testing, were a lot of these items then going to be forwarded to a colleague of yours that would conduct the DNA analysis on certain items?
Yes, it was.
So when you use this language that you preserve things, are you preserving it for the DNA analyst to do analysis?
That is correct.
All right. Let's talk about your submission 18. What was submission 18? How did it come to you?
Submission 18 were gloves, further itemized into 18A, glove A, and 18B, glove B.
And you're looking at your detailed bench notes or your reports of your analysis of those 2 gloves, correct?
That is correct.
Did the gloves that we are calling 18A and B, did they come to you as a pair?
Yes.
And so what did you do with glove A?
With glove A, I performed a presumptive color change test for the presence of blood, and I then went on to swabbing the glove for potential wearer DNA.
Wearer, like a DNA for a wearer of the glove?
That is correct.
All right. Now, when you say that you did a presumptive test for blood on glove A, was that because, did you visually inspect that glove and notice something that looked like blood?
That is correct.
All right. And what was the results of that presumptive test on one glove of that pair?
I confirmed the presence of blood on glove A.
And did you still then swab that glove for DNA?
Yes.
Did you swab the blood area or the wearer area?
I swabbed all areas avoiding the reddish discoloration.
Okay. And when we say a wearer area, what part, if I'm wearing a glove, what part would you be swabbing?
The inside of the glove, and oftentimes you're not able to distinguish between the inside and the outside of a glove if it doesn't have a care tag. So in this case, I swabbed both the inside of the glove and the outside separately.
Okay. And what about the second glove, glove B? Did you notice any blood on that?
I did not notice any reddish discoloration on glove B.
So did you just do the DNA swabbing on glove B
Yes.
in the same manner that you've told us about?
Yes.
Okay. The submission 19, what was submission 19 composed of?
Submission 19 were swabs, further itemized into submission 19A, which were swabs from the back left interior door handle. Submission 19B was 2 swabs from a steering wheel. Submission 19C were swabs from BLS number 3 at the crime scene. And submission 19D was swabs from BLS number 2 in the Honda.
All right, 19B, was it 2 swabs from the steering wheel of the Honda?
Yes,
Okay, and then 2 swabs from blood-like stain in the Honda?
that is correct.
And then 19A, 2 swabs from the back left interior door handle?
Yes.
And what did you do with these items?
For each of these items, I conducted the same presumptive color change test for the possible presence of blood.
And why, is it because you noticed blood on all of these?
Yes, there was a reddish or a brownish discoloration observed on the swabs, so I moved on to conducting the presumptive test for blood.
Was it positive?
For certain items, it was. For submission 19A, I did get a presumptive positive test result. I did not conduct a confirmatory test for that sample. For submission 19B, I obtained negative test results for the presumptive presence of blood.
Let me stop you though, real quick. Just so 19A was the swabs from the back left interior door handle?
That is correct.
You got a positive presumptive for blood?
That is correct.
But for the 2 swabs from the steering wheel, which is B, the Honda, did you get a negative result for blood?
That is correct.
What result did you get from 2 swabs from the blood-like substance number 3 at the crime scene? Negative or positive for blood?
I confirmed the presence of blood on submission 19C.
And what about 2 swabs from the blood-like stain in number 2 in the Honda?
I confirmed the presence of blood.
Moving on to, and then did you preserve those swabs for DNA, possible DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
Submission 20 was what?
Submission 20 were 2 oral standards from Charles Vorpagel,
And submission 21?
2 oral standards from Christopher Vasata.
And what did you do with each of those oral standards, the ones from Charles Vorpagel and the one from Christopher Vasata?
I preserved them and forwarded them on for DNA testing.
Okay. How about submission 22? What was that?
These were swabs from a 357 Magnum caliber Taurus model 60S titanium revolver.
Okay. And what did you do with those swabs?
I preserved those swabs and forwarded them on for DNA testing.
Okay. Did you notice any blood? Well, let me just take you through it. 22A, within that 357 Magnum caliber, you have a series of swabs underneath that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You had 2 swabs from the trigger guard, 2 swabs from the front sight, 2 swabs from the frame and the cylinder, and a swab from submission 3 cartridges, correct?
That is correct.
Did you notice any blood on any of those?
Bases? You want to come up?
Yes.
Sure.
Going back to submission 22, that 357 Taurus, and those swabs that go under that umbrella of the Taurus, 357 Taurus, did you do a visual inspection for blood?
Yes, I did do a visual inspection to see if there were any discolorations that would prompt me to test for the possible presence of blood.
And did you see any?
No, I did not.
And when we're talking about swabs, so you were forwarded, are they the ones that look like the Q-tips?
That is correct.
Right. Any visual inspection, did you inspect or see any discoloration in those swabs that would indicate the presence of blood?
I did not see any discoloration that would indicate the possible presence of blood.
Okay. Let's move on to submission 23. What was submission 23?
These were swabs from a 40 Smith & Wesson caliber Glock Model 23 semi-automatic pistol.
Okay. And within that submission 23, were there other swabbings? In other words, 23A, 23B, 23C, 23D, and 23E.
That is correct.
23A, 2 swabs from the trigger guard.
Yes.
23B, 2 swabs from the front sight.
Yes.
23C, 2 swabs from the frame and the slide.
Yes.
23D, 2 swabs from the magazine. And 23E, submission number 4 cartridges, correct?
Yes.
Did you visually inspect those swabs?
Yes, I did.
And did you notice or did you see any discoloration that would indicate the presence of blood?
I did not see any discoloration that would indicate the possible presence of blood.
And so what did you do with those swabs?
I preserved and forwarded them on for DNA testing.
Submission 25, are those more swabs?
That is correct.
And what is submission 25A?
These are swabs from submission 10 magazine.
25A, 2 swabs from Glock pistol magazine?
Yes.
That's submission number 10. What's 25B?
25B were swabs from cartridges. However, I did not examine that item.
Okay, did you examine submission 25C, an ammo box?
No, I did not.
And how about 25D, submission 11 cartridges?
No, I did not.
But did you analyze the 25A, 2 swabs from the Glock pistol magazine?
Yes, I did a close visual inspection on 25A and preserved and forwarded it on for DNA testing.
And when you looked at that visualization of 25A, the 2 swabs from the Glock pistol magazine, did you notice any discoloration that would indicate to you the presence of blood?
No, I did not.
Submission 27, what is that?
Submission 27 are swabs from a rifle magazine, swabs from a perfected 357 Magnum caliber cartridge, and swabs from a Ziploc bag containing 6 perfected 357 Magnum caliber cartridges.
Okay, so 27 swabs, submission 27 swabs from a rifle magazine. 27A, 2 swabs from the rifle magazine. Did you visually inspect those?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice any discoloration that would indicate the presence of blood?
No, I did not.
And did you inspect 27B, the swabs from a box of ammo?
No, I did not.
And did you inspect 27C or 27D, which were cartridges in an ammo box and in a plastic bag?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you preserve those nonetheless, everything we mentioned, and send it to the lab for potential DNA testing?
I preserved submission 27A, the rifle magazine, and forwarded that on for DNA testing. Submissions B, C, and D I did not preserve. I returned them to the evidence unit.
Okay. Submission 28, what is that?
Submission 28 are swabs from a, Submission 28 are swabs from a 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber Comerarm model WASR 10 semi-automatic rifle, and swabs from the rifle magazine and 13 JSC Barnall 7.62 by 39 caliber cartridge.
All right. So the swabs from a semi-automatic rifle, 28A, did you look at 2 swabs from the trigger guard from that rifle?
Yes, I did.
28B, 2 swabs from the frame and the receiver of that rifle.
Yes, I did.
28C, 2 swabs from the rifle magazine.
Yes.
And let's talk about those 3 from swabs from that rifle. Did you visually look at them? Did you look at those swabs?
Yes, I did.
And did you notice any discoloration that would indicate to you the presence of blood on those swabs?
No, I did not.
Let me rephrase that question. Did you notice any discoloration that would indicate the presence of blood?
No, I did not observe any visual indication that would prompt me to test for the presence of blood.
All right. And there were also 28D cartridges. Did you take a look at those?
No, I did not.
The ones that I mentioned, 28A, B, and C, did you repackage those and forward those to the DNA lab?
Yes, I did.
We talked about the gloves. Let me move on then to June 7th of 2017, your report. Submission 38, did you receive 2 blood standards from a girl named Brandy L. Salhi?
Yes, I did.
Submission 39, 2 blood standards from Kelly Doherty.
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with those 2 standards?
I preserved them and forwarded them on for DNA testing.
Did you receive submission 41, a black T-shirt from the front right seat of a Honda?
Yes, I did.
And then a submission 44, a black T-shirt from the back left seat of a Honda.
Yes,
So 2 black T-shirts, correct?
that is correct.
What did you do with those 2 black T-shirts in terms of forensic testing?
For submission 40,
Not 40, 41 and 44, the 2 black, the 41, the black T-shirt from the front right seat of the Honda, and 44, the black T-shirt from the back left seat of the Honda.
for both submissions 41 and 44, I swabbed them for potential wearer DNA.
Okay, and where did you swab them? Like where on the T-shirts?
For submission 41, I swabbed the inside neckline and the top, back, and underarms of the black T-shirt.
Okay. Did you also do some type of light testing with them?
Yes, I used an alternative light source called an IR, short for infrared, and I used that light source to aid me in the visual detection of potential blood.
And did you see any?
In this particular case, my results were inconclusive. The nature of the fabric, given the nature of the fabric, I was not able to use the light source to discern any potential blood stains.
Okay. But you swabbed both of those T-shirts that were found in the Honda, correct?
Yes.
And forwarded those on for possible DNA testing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about submission 42, a black hoodie. Can you describe for us what that hoodie looked like?
Submission 42, a black hoodie. My description from my bench notes, reading from the description from my bench notes, it was extra large. The brand was Gildan. I observed dirt and sand and leaf-like debris all over, with some whitish discoloration on the bottom front and left sleeve as worn. The hoodie also had a zip front with drawstrings in the hood.
Okay. And what did you do with that hoodie that is listed as number 42?
On the hoodie, I conducted a presumptive color change test for blood, and the presumptive color change test for blood is called the Kastelmeyer test. We also call it KM for short, and that presumptive test indicates the possible presence of blood. I then followed up my presumptive testing with a confirmatory test for blood, and essentially that just confirms if my presumptive test results were correct and confirms the presence of blood.
Okay, so you did detect some blood on that?
Yes, I confirmed the presence of blood on stains 1 through 4 of the black hoodie.
Black hoodie. And did you also swab for DNA on that?
Yes, I swabbed the black hoodie for potential wearer DNA.
And where did you swab that black hoodie?
I swabbed, reading from my bench notes, I swabbed the inner and outer ends of the sleeves and the inner and outer hood of the hoodie.
Where's that? What do you mean, the inner outer hood of the hoodie? What do you mean?
The hood is the portion of the sweater that you would flick over your head.
Okay, so where did you swab?
Inside of the hood and the outside of the hood.
Okay, where, if the inside where it might be falling on someone's forehead or face area?
Yes.
Okay. And did you then preserve those swabs that you did of that hoodie and send them to the DNA lab?
Yes, I did.
Did you separate them out? Because I thought you said you did the inner sleeves?
No, I swabbed all of that together. Essentially, I'm looking for a wearer and I would be swabbing areas that I believe that the individual that was wearing it would have constant contact with.
Okay, so you did the hoodie, and then what about the arm area? Did you do that?
Yes, I did the sleeves, the inner and outer sleeves.
And when we say inner and outer, is it where it would fall on a wrist?
Yes.
Okay. And my question was, did you then separate the hoodie swabs and put them in a packet, and then put the sleeve ones in a packet, or did you put them all on the same packet?
The swabs of the hoodie and the swabs of the sleeves are one pair of swabs. So I took that same swab to swab the inner and outer hoodie, and those same swabs swabbed the sleeves as well.
All right. Now, the Puma sock 43, did you have an occasion to see that item?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with that?
I swabbed the outer sock for potential wearer DNA and the inside of the sock as well.
Okay. So you swabbed the 2 black T-shirts that were found in the Honda. You swabbed a black hoodie that had sand on it, right?
Yes.
You swabbed a Puma sock, and did you have swabs from a backpack? What did you do with those? Submission 45.
Swabs from submission 45. Swabs, submission 45, 45A were swabs from a pink backpack in a BMW. And I preserved those for further testing.
For the DNA?
Yes, for the DNA testing portion.
And 45B, were there 2 swabs from rifle bag handles?
Yes, they were.
You preserved those?
Yes, I did.
In other words, you didn't swab them. You got those from Jupiter, and then you just repackaged them PBSO style and sent them to the DNA, correct?
Yes, I did.
As well as 2 swabs from the rifle bag body, right?
Yes.
Submission 46, did you also receive 2 oral swabs from an individual named Marcus Stewart?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with those?
I preserved them and forwarded them on for DNA testing.
Okay. And finally, submission 47, a black, it says black R glove from back left seat of Honda. Did you then have another, in addition to the 2 sets of gloves you had, were you also given an individual glove that was found in the Honda?
Yes.
And what'd you do with that?
I conducted the KM presumptive color change test for blood and confirmed the presence of blood on 2 stains of the right glove.
Okay. Now, your third report, did you do one August 1st of 2017?
Yes, I did.
And tell us what you did on that day.
I preserved and also conducted presumptive testing for blood on swabs from multiple swabs from the Honda, and also swabbed submission 54. I'm sorry, I did not swab submission 54. I got seats. I got lifts from a Honda seat, and I swabbed those lifts and preserved them and forwarded them on for DNA.
And what are lifts? What do you mean?
Based on my description here, first of all, I received the description as lifts, so I kept that description. But based on my visual observation of the item, I wrote that it appeared to be beige, square-shaped sheet lint from a lint roller, and I swabbed the sticky sides and the non-sticky sides.
From a lint roller?
It appeared to be so.
Okay, not lifts like fingerprint lifts?
No.
Okay, lint roller.
Based on my description, it appeared to be one of the strips from a lint roller.
Okay, and you preserved that for possible DNA?
I swabbed the lifts or the lint roll, the piece of lint roll paper, and forwarded those on for DNA.
All right, and that was August 1st, 2017?
Yes.
All right. At this point, I don't have any further questions of this witness.
Ms. Ramsey?
Good afternoon, Mr. Costa.
Good afternoon.
So So you've told this jury that you're working in serology, but you have also started working with doing DNA testing,
Yes.
okay? And so what is the purpose of determining whether or not there is blood on an item?
Well, it is it's essentially screening the item gives us an idea of the type of biological fluids we're working with and what we need to move on for potential DNA testing.
Well, you can get DNA from epithelial cells, which are skin cells, from sperm cells, and from blood, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you have to do DNA testing.
Essentially, no, but it is just screening the item before forwarding it on is just a thorough process to know what biological fluids we're working with.
No, I understand that, okay, but it doesn't matter which one of these substances you have in order to do DNA testing,
No, we can get DNA from all of those biological fluids that you just listed.
okay? But what it might be important to know is if, for instance, you had an item of evidence and it landed in a pool of blood, then it would be important to know that the DNA was coming from the blood and not necessarily from someone holding it.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
If you had an item of evidence that landed in a pool of blood, you would want to know that because it would mean that perhaps any DNA results were as a result of landing in the pool of blood rather than somebody holding the item.
I would not be able to determine if the DNA was from blood versus from touch or from the individual handling.
Right, but you would be able to determine if there was blood on it by doing this KM testing,
Yes.
okay? And so in this case, all of the items that you tested for serological results to determine if there was blood were items that were sent on for DNA testing.
Yes.
And many of the items that you failed to test for serological results went on for DNA testing.
Yes.
Okay, for instance, looking at item 18, which is gloves, you have 18A and 18B, right?
What report are you reading from?
This would be from your February 28th, 2017 report.
Yes, I did do glove A and glove B.
Okay, so glove A, all right, you look at that and you take a number of swabs from it, and you talked about one of the swabs, which is labeled 18A1, you test for serology.
Yes, I tested it for presumptive, I did a confirmatory and a presumptive test for blood.
Okay, and that was positive.
Yes, it was.
All right. You also did two other swabs or sets of swabs for that glove, which was 18A2 and 18A3
Yes.
that were forwarded on.
Yes.
However, you didn't do any tests for serology on those swabs.
Those swabs were collected because I was for those two swabs, I was swabbing for potential wearer DNA to see if I could pick up DNA from the individual that was wearing the item.
Right, I agree. Okay, those items were not tested for DNA, however.
No.
Those swabs.
Those swabs, I can only talk about the items that I have screened. The items that have been tested for DNA, I have no record of which ones were tested, but I passed them all on for DNA testing.
Okay, but 18A1, which is the glove, is blood.
Yes, I confirmed that to be blood.
A2 and A3, you don't know.
I did not test those for blood. I was swabbing for potential touch or wearer DNA.
Okay, because as you said, if you have something that has both blood and epithelial cells or skin cells on it, you wouldn't know when you did the DNA test where the DNA was coming from.
Well, in swabbing the blood stain that I confirmed, when I was swabbing for potential wearer, I avoided that blood stain. So my swabs from the wearer area did not contain any potential blood.
Right, which it would have been helpful if there had been DNA testing on those swabs.
I am not sure if these were passed on. I passed them on for DNA, but I'm not sure if DNA testing was conducted.
18B, which is glove B as well. You did some swabs from that as well, B1, B2, right?
Yes.
Neither of which you determined whether or not there was blood.
I visually examined the item, and I did not visually observe any potential blood stains, so I did not collect any swabs for blood. However, I swabbed the item for potential touch DNA.
Did you take photographs of those, the
No,
swabs?
No, I did not.
Okay, and so what color were the swabs?
I do not have any description of the color of the swabs. However, when I visually examined the item, I did not observe any reddish discoloration that would indicate the possible presence of blood.
On black gloves?
Yes.
And what does dried blood look like? We know that, like, if you're a fresh bleed, what would be red, right?
Yes.
Okay, but when blood dries and begins to deteriorate, it turns a variety of colors. Brown, grayish brown,
It all depends on the surface that is on,
right?
or
Okay,
the color of the surface that it's on.
all right, and so then you did some swabs from the vehicle itself, right?
Yes.
Okay, and some of those were positive, at least 2 sets of them were positive, right? And then you did swabs for the weapons in this case, namely a .357, a Glock 40, and a rifle.
I cannot remember the names of all of them, but I did do several submissions that were guns. I can go back through and list them individually if you want me to.
Okay, but you didn't do serological testing on any of the weapons?
I didn't conduct serological testing on some of the weapon swabs because I did not visually observe any discoloration that would indicate the possible presence of blood.
Well, you didn't do serological testing on any of the swabs for any of the weapons.
And if I did not do any testing on any of the swabs from any of the weapons, I did not visually observe any discoloration that would indicate the possible presence of blood, so I preserved them and moved them on for DNA testing.
And again, no photographs of those swabs?
No, I do not have any photographs of the swabs.
So the KM testing and the HB testing is a very simple test to do, though, correct?
Yes, it is.
It's just a chemical color change,
The KM test is a color change test, yes.
readily available to you in the serological lab.
Yes.
Okay. On the black hoodie, which is item 42, that was also positive for blood?
I have several reports. Can you tell me which report that item was?
It's in 6717.
6, 7, 7. Submission 42?
Yes? 42, black hoodie.
Yes.
Okay, positive for blood.
Yes, I confirmed the presence of blood on 4 of those, 4 of the stains I tested.
Okay. Item 47, also from 6717, is again a glove that is recovered from the Honda.
Yes.
Positive for blood.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Item 58, which is another hoodie that is recovered from the Honda. Positive for blood.
Is item submission 58 from that same,
58.
from the same report?
I'm sorry, that's Ms. Gittens. But most of the items that you tested that were inside the Honda were positive for blood.
Yes.
Were you aware that the guns were in the Honda?
I used the description that was on the item, so whatever the description says, that's what I record.
I don't have anything further.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, doing a visual inspection for blood, it can become, it can be pretty simple, right?
Yes.
Because blood,
Sure, no problem. Same ruling. Go ahead.
because blood has a specific color, red, right?
Yes.
And when it's dried, it can kind of turn brown, but it's still different color, correct?
Yes.
And those items that you said that you followed up with a confirmatory test, to try to get a confirmatory test, the reason you did that on certain items is because you actually saw what you believed to be blood on some items, right?
Yes, I saw discoloration that could be potentially blood, so I followed up with confirmatory testing.
And all of the swabs from those 3 weapons, those 3 firearms you talked about, did any of those swabs have any reddish color on them that would indicate the presence of blood?
No, it did not.
Thank you.
You may step down. Thank you very much. Watch your step. Make sure you gather up all your stuff. All right, jurors, get you on out of here. Hopefully you beat my radar says clouds are coming. So, you know the drill. I don't have to keep repeating myself. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:30. Tomorrow morning, 8:30. Don't talk about the case. Don't Google, Facebook, Twitter, anything. See you later. Thank you so much for working so hard today. It was a long day.